Welcome to the deep dive. Today, we're going to do something a little different. We're going to be diving into the world of hip-hop.
Ooh, hip-hop.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're going to be looking at Canibus's live-action role play. You know, we got the lyrics here, we got some notes, so get ready to decode this dystopian future that Canibus paints for us.
This is going to be good. Live-action roleplay is a lyrical maze. Canibus is known for his intricate wordplay, complex rhyme schemes, metaphors, but here, he uses them to craft this, chilling vision of the future.
Yeah, and right from the jump, the song just kind of throws you into this world that's on edge.
Definitely.
Like that opening line, the moths are attracted to the lumens, the same way the humans are attracted to a revolution, sets the stage for this, constant tension, almost like an inevitable explosion.
Yeah, it's like this underlying unrest.
Right.
He equates human behavior to something as instinctual as moths drawn to light.
Yeah.
Get the sense that society is like a powder keg ready to blow. And that theme of being on the verge of collapse, it runs throughout the entire song.
And he's not shy about calling out the forces at play either.
No, he's not.
When he talks about the haves making all the decisions and the have-nots are kind of forced to just accept it, you can't help but think about the power dynamics we see in the world today. Especially when he paints that image of someone struggling to survive with just half a coat and a piece of bread out in the freezing cold.
Oh, that's a powerful image. And it's sadly relatable, too.
Yeah.
Canibus is a master of using these everyday details, right, to highlight these much larger issues. He's talking about economic inequality, the concentration of power, and the potential for these disparities to lead to some serious unrest, maybe even a revolution.
Yeah, then there's the technology aspect, too.
Oh, yeah.
Canibus uses technology to build this dystopia in a way that's both fascinating and frightening.
It is.
On one hand, you have this hyper-advanced tech-ic. Drones are watching everyone. People with forehead barcode stamps, even electroshock wristwatches for self-medication.
Whoa.
It's almost like technology is being used as a tool for control to keep everybody in line.
It's like he's taking our current anxieties about surveillance and data privacy, and he just amplified them 1,000 times over.
Yeah.
It's showing us this potential future where technology has become both a necessity and a means of oppression at the same time.
Absolutely.
And it raises all these questions about autonomy and what it means to be human in a world where technology can monitor and manipulate our thoughts and actions.
There's this one line that really stuck with me. Just follow the program command strings. It's so simple.
Right.
But it speaks volumes about the potential for us to just become mindless followers. Losing our sense of individuality in this technologically driven world.
Exactly. It's like we're becoming robots, programmed to follow orders without question. And then when you connect that to the idea of a binary mutagen creating melanated supermen, it makes you think about the future of individuality. What does that even mean? It raises all these questions about genetic engineering, social control, and what it means to be human in a world where our very biology might be manipulated.
Let's unpack that a bit more. What do you think Canibus is trying to say with that binary mutagen line?
Okay, well, that is one of the most complex and multi-layered lines in the entire song.
Yeah.
On one level, you could say it's a commentary on race and the potential for genetic engineering to be used to create divisions or even hierarchies based on physical characteristics. It's like he's suggesting that even in this futuristic dystopia, race and power are still intertwined, that technology might be used to actually exacerbate existing inequalities rather than erase them.
Oh, wow.
But there's also this other layer to it too, right? The idea of melanated supermen could also be seen as a symbol of empowerment.
Right.
Of Black people reclaiming their agency and power in a world that has historically oppressed them.
So it's like two sides of the same coin.
It really is.
That ambiguity, the way he leaves it open to interpretation, that's what makes it so powerful. It's something that you just keep thinking about long after the song ends.
For sure.
And then there's the environmental angle, too. Canibus doesn't hold back when describing the state of the planet in his dystopian vision.
No, he doesn't. It's not just a backdrop either. It's like the environment itself is a character in this story, reflecting the decay and the despair of the human world.
Totally. When he raps about hot lava plumes breaking continents apart and human fertilizer being used in the wine, you get this visceral sense of a world that is literally falling apart.
I know. It's just, those are some potent images, especially that human fertilizer line. It's both disturbing and thought-provoking. It makes you think about the consequences of our actions and the impact we're having on the planet.
It's like he's holding up this mirror to our environmental crisis and saying, hey, if we don't change our ways, we're headed for a very dark future.
Yeah.
where even the things we consume are tainted by our own destruction.
It's like we're poisoning ourselves and the world around us, and the consequences are inescapable.
So we've got this bleak picture, technology controlling us, society fractured, environment collapsing. It's heavy stuff.
Yeah.
But there's also a glimmer of hope in the song, too, right? What about that Ripper figure he keeps mentioning?
Ah, yes, the Ripper. That's where things get really interesting. Stay with us as we delve into that in the next part of this deep dive.
If you're looking to explore live-action roleplay for yourself, you can find it on C Radio's Spotify and RIPPERSUNITE's YouTube channel. We'll be back after a quick moment to unpack the meaning behind the Ripper and what it represents in Canibus's dystopian world.
Welcome back to the deep dive. We left off talking about that glimmer of hope that Canibus offers in live-action roleplay with this mysterious figure of the Ripper.
Yeah, the Ripper, it's like this almost mythical figure in the context of the song.
Right.
Especially when he talks about how his astral body left the planet.
Right.
It's like even in this world where everything seems so bleak and controlled, there's still a possibility for transcendence, for escaping these physical limitations.
Yeah, and it's interesting how he ties this idea of the Ripper to music, too.
Right.
Saying his music was smarter, it had this power to reach beyond the ordinary. It's like he's suggesting that art creativity, these things can provide a way out, a way to connect with something bigger than yourself.
It's such a powerful idea, especially when you think about it in the context of this dystopia.
Yeah.
Like, even when everything else is so oppressive and hopeless, there's still that potential for the human spirit to, like, soar, to find meaning and connection through art.
Absolutely. And it makes you think about Canibus's own music, too. His lyrical skills.
Right.
In a way, he's like a Ripper himself. You know, using his words to break free from the constraints of, like, conventional rap. He's pushing boundaries, experimenting with language, creating something truly unique.
And speaking of pushing boundaries, let's talk about that line, take a jab to the glutes, and now their ears are ringing.
Oh, yeah.
It seems like a pretty direct reference to vaccines. But what do you think he's trying to say here?
It's a loaded line for sure, especially given all the debates we've seen around vaccines. You know, in recent years, Canibus doesn't explicitly state his stance one way or the other.
Right.
But the imagery he uses, the forced injection, the ringing ears, it definitely creates this sense of unease. Like there's an undercurrent of distrust towards those in power and the mandates that they might impose.
Yeah, it ties back into that theme of control that runs through the whole song.
Right.
The fear of losing your autonomy. Being forced to comply with something you may not agree with.
Exactly.
And the ringing ears could be symbolic of the unknown consequences, the potential side effects that people worry about when it comes to medical interventions.
It's a clever way to tap into a really complex issue without explicitly taking sides.
Right.
He presents the image and lets the listener interpret it, sparking a conversation, challenging us to think about the choices we're making both individually and as a society.
And that's what's so brilliant about Canibus's style. He doesn't preach.
Yeah.
He presents these scenarios, these vivid images, and lets us grapple with the meaning.
Exactly. He's a master of using language to provoke thought, to challenge our assumptions. And he does it all while crafting these incredibly intricate rhymes and wordplay that keeps you on your toes.
Let's dive into that wordplay for a moment. One thing that struck me was the juxtaposition of playful, almost humorous language with these, like, darker, more disturbing images.
Yeah.
It's like when he raps big face like Little Richard hitting high notes with his lips twisted. Starts off lighthearted. But then he adds lipstick the same color as chitlins. And it takes on this whole other dimension.
Yeah. It's like he's playing with these extremes, blending the familiar with the unsettling, that unexpected shift in tone. It keeps you engaged. It forces you to pay attention to the subtle nuances of his language.
And those nuances are everywhere in this song.
They are.
He throws in these unexpected rhymes, references, word choices that make you go back and listen again and again just to catch everything.
He's a master of packing layers of meaning into every single line.
Yeah.
Creating this really dense and rewarding listening experience.
Totally.
He doesn't dumb it down for anyone. He expects you to keep up, to meet him on his level.
And I think that's one of the reasons why live-action roleplay resonates with so many people. It's a challenge. It's an invitation to dig deeper, to think critically about the world around us.
It is. And to appreciate the power of language. How it can be used to paint these vivid pictures, to evoke emotions, to spark conversations about things that really matter.
Absolutely. Canibus is a true wordsmith, a poet who uses hip-hop as his canvas to create something truly thought-provoking and enduring. So we've been exploring this dark and intricate world that Canibus creates in live-action roleplay.
It's a trip.
This world where technology is like a double-edged sword, society's teetering on the brink, and the environment's reflecting all of our darkest fears.
For sure.
But even throughout all of this darkness, he weaves in these moments of brilliance, these flashes of hope and resilience.
He does. You know, one thing that really strikes me is how Canibus uses his wordplay to create this feeling of unease, this sense that something's not quite right, something's deeply wrong. Think about lines like histamine sneezers and respiratory wheezers. And then right alongside that, he throws in false Jesuses, sporting Yeezys.
What?
It's just this bizarre mix of the everyday and the absurd.
Right.
And it paints this picture of a world that's familiar yet deeply unsettling at the same time.
It's like he's taken elements of our reality and just like twisted them, distorted them to create this mirror image that's both recognizable and nightmarish.
I know, right?
You're constantly trying to make sense of these images, figure out where the real ends and the surreal begins.
And that's part of what makes the song so compelling. It's not just about these big themes of technology, society, and the environment. It's about how he uses language to get under your skin.
Yeah.
To make you feel the weight of this dystopian world.
He's a master of juxtaposition, blending humor and horror, the mundane and the macabre.
Totally.
Like that line, "I taste human fertilizer in the wine." It's a shocking image.
Yeah.
But it speaks volumes about the state of the world he's created.
Right.
A world where even the things we consume are tainted by our own actions.
Yeah, it's a world where the boundaries between the natural and the artificial, the organic and the synthetic have become totally blurred.
Yeah.
And it's through his, masterful use of language that Canibus forces us to confront that reality.
It's unsettling.
Yeah.
But it's so powerful. So we've got this dystopian vision, but it's not completely devoid of hope.
No, not at all.
Canibus offers these glimmers of light, these suggestions that even in the darkest of times, the human spirit can find a way to shine through.
Yeah, we see it in the Ripper, whose music transcended the physical realm. We see it in Canibus's own artistry, his ability to use language to create something meaningful and powerful in a world that seems determined to crush individuality and creativity.
It's like he's saying that even when everything else seems lost, we still have the power to create, to connect with something larger than ourselves, and to find hope in these unexpected places.
And maybe that's the ultimate message of live-action roleplay.
Okay.
It's a warning, a cautionary tale, but it's also a call to action. It's an invitation to use our voices, our talents, our creativity to shape a different future.
Right. One where technology serves humanity, where society values compassion and justice, and where we actually live in harmony with the environment.
It's a reminder that we have a choice. We can either passively accept the dystopian vision he presents, or we can fight for a better world using art, music, and words as our weapons. If live-action roleplay has sparked your curiosity, I encourage you to give it a listen. You can find it on C Radio's Spotify and Rippers Unite's YouTube channel.
It's definitely a song that demands to be heard, dissected, and discussed.
Absolutely.
And as you listen, pay attention to the intricate web of words that Canibus weaves.
Okay.
It's in those details, those unexpected rhymes and references, that the true depth of his dystopian vision reveals itself.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive into Canibus's live-action roleplay. We hope it's left you with something to think about, something to ponder as you navigate your own world.
Until next time, keep exploring, keep questioning, and keep those minds engaged.